Welcome to the Practical Growth Podcast. I'm your host, E.B. Johnson, top writer on Medium.com, published author, and master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. You've landed on the podcast that takes you on a journey into the heart of relationships and self-discovery. This is a must listen for those who are ready to overcome their toxic relationships and their toxic patterns. You can expect real talk, practical guidance, and raw and relatable guests that you'll be talking about for weeks. Let's get into it.
Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to episode 240. Can't even believe I'm saying that, of the Practical Growth Podcast. It is me, your favorite podcast host, E.B. Johnson, your favorite Medium writer, your favorite TikTok coach and narcissistic annihilator. We're back with another episode. A really good one this week. We're gonna change directions. We've talked about a lot of heavy stuff lately, right? We've talked about narcissistic parents, overcoming trauma, bad relationships, all that kind of stuff. Today, I want to take it in a little bit more of a positive route. Now, if you follow me on Medium, you've probably seen me featured a few times recently. Yay! But specifically, I recently got featured on Medium for an article called The True Power of Belief: Why Mindset Matters More Than You Think It Does. And I think today would be a great day to really deep dive into this article and more specifically talk about mindset, how your mindset affects your reality, and how you can bring a more positive mindset into your life to create more positive behaviors and outcomes without crossing the line into toxic positivity or delusion. Quick reminder before we jump in, applications are currently open for my 2-month private coaching program. I've got a few spots left in a new session that's going to be starting up next week. So for you guys, that will be around May 15th. If you want to get coached one-on-one by me, this is the best way to do it. I help you overcome your relationship hurdles. You can also get career advice from me, professional advice, and most importantly, narcissistic abuse and trauma recovery. That's the really, really big one. I have an NLP program, which is all about learning to plug into your brain and the way it works to rewire not just your beliefs, but your actual behaviors, which of course is going to change the way you interact with others and the outcomes in your life overall. This course is not for the faint of heart. Okay. Every week you're expected to, pick yourself up and get it done. Coaching is about accomplishing goals, and that's what this program helps you to do. So if you want to work with me one-on-one for 2 months, then you need to head over to therealebjohnson.com and click on working with me to apply. That's therealebjohnson.com/working with me to apply. All right, boring stuff out of the way. Let's jump right into it. The true power of belief, your mindset. How does your mindset shape your reality? How does it affect your relationships, your health? Let me tell you, it is all of the above. I'm not talking cliches here, right? Because I know so many of you listening to this, you have already kind of been into the depths of toxic self-help, and you've probably brought yourself out the other side, and that's how you ended up here. And a lot of self-help that you find on the internet, when it talks about positive mindset, is delusional, right? It doesn't hold space for the very real dynamics around us, which is, like racism in the infrastructure and sexism and all of these gender issues that are now going on. That's not at all being discounted, right? Because a lot of toxic positivity wants you to move through the world blissed out, zenned out, unaware, not attached to your emotions, just everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be great. And that's not really reality. And that's not what we're going to be talking about today. What we're talking about today is how you can reframe your mindset around the real events that you are experiencing in your life to create more positive outcomes, behaviors, beliefs, understandings. It's about giving you the mental fortitude to be able to survive the inevitable hardships of life, because that's facts. Okay. We're living in a world that is very mentally and emotionally challenging. And for you to be able to deal with that, for you to be able to create what you need to feel fulfilled, to feel at peace, to feel safe, to feel accomplished, whatever it is that you want to feel, you have to be able to think in a healthy, realistic, and positive way so that you can create the most positive outcome for yourself. Mainstream mindfulness has been a big business for a long, long time, but there are some of us who were still raised before this kind of thinking about your mind and your reality before that was really considered by most people, right? We were raised in a time when your mindset wasn't really considered. It was only your experiences. Whatever happened to you in your life was a reflection of your life. Your mind and your mental well-being, it just wasn't considered as interlinked as we now know it to be. We kind of just acted and reacted to what happened to us and didn't really have a deeper level of self-awareness or self-knowing, self-knowledge. But the truth is that our mind is directly linked to our experiences in this life. That's just the way it is. Your mindset changes everything. It defines everything. The way you think reflects how you live your life, the people you choose to have around you, the careers you go after. The entire environment you create for yourself is a reflection, first and foremost, of what you believe about yourself and what you deserve and what you're worth and how you perceive the world. We are what we think. That's where it starts. That's where everything begins. So even our physical health can be a reflection of what kind of internal world we're fostering. So if you want to create a better life for yourself, your mindset has to be considered, because you have to be able to direct the choices that you make and the behaviors and the reactions based on your mindset, right? Your mindset is the fertile ground from which everything else in your life springs, in your direct life, right? Well, we're going to leave the bigger political kind of infrastructures and outside influences and things out of it just for now, but keep those in the back of your mind, right? Starting first and foremost, the things that are closest and most intimate to you. So your relationships, again, your career, the lifestyle that you lead, the kind of home you pursue, all of these things, it starts with your mindset. Shapes your reality. It's where everything begins and germinates. It's not a cliche, which is kind of what the idea has become in the self-help world, right? Things like The Secret have kind of conditioned people to think like, all I have to do is think positive. I just have to think positive and do a vision board, and the universe is just going to hand it to me. And that's not what we're talking here. Okay. We're talking about action, not this kind of passive hope for something. We're talking about action. How does your mindset shape your reality? Let's just break it down. Let's look first at our behavior. Although we tend to think that our behaviors is reaction, we tend to think that, I behave according to whatever happens to me in my environment. That's not really the case. It's not separate. Your behaviors are a direct extension of your mindset, and your mindset is then hindered or boosted by your behaviors, okay? Your mindset shapes the way you interact with the world. Everything you do, say, think, pursue, choose, it starts with where you invest your beliefs. So let's just look at the most basic example. Let's say, think of the most negative person in your life. Just that. Think of the most negative person in your life. They think negatively about everyone around them. They only talk negatively about others. They always expect negativity. Anything they experience in the day, it's an inconvenience. It's negative. It's draining. It's drama, right? You know that person, just that complete suck. Now I want you to look at their lives. Honestly, look at their lives. Would you say that they are like the most gleaming example of happiness and joy and success and fulfillment? Or does their negativity bring out a lot of other negativity? Do they have a lot of blow-ups with other people? Do people break off relationships because they can't stand the negativity? Do they miss out on opportunities at work because people just don't like them and don't want to give them opportunities? That's how it plays out. And then you'll see this person get more frustrated and then say, oh, well, look, all these bad things are happening to me. So all the negative things I believed are right. So it reinforces itself. And this is how the cycle goes. Someone with negative or hostile mindset is going to behave in a negative and hostile way in the world. And that's going to bring about negative results for them. Because if you put negativity in, you're going to get negativity back. And it's not some kind of cosmic thing. You can literally see the cause and effect. It's literally just cause and effect. When you have a negative mindset, you're more likely to view yourself in negative ways and make negative choices and have lower self-esteem, which will then bring about even more negative behaviors, perhaps even self-destructive behaviors. Self-sabotage, personal failure, it's all tied in right here with the behaviors that start with the way you think about yourself and the world. Now, those behaviors are only the starting point, because the second way in which your reality gets affected by your mindset is right there in your relationships and your connections. When you have that kind of negative, hostile, pessimistic, cup always half empty thinking, it leaks into the relationships that you have. It's almost impossible to keep happy, healthy, balanced relationships when you're just constantly spewing, vomiting negativity into the world. You're constantly keeping yourself in crisis because of your negative behaviors and reactions. Everything in your life, every connection that you make with other people at work, at a bus stop, in a restaurant, at home, it can be affected by your shitty attitude. The more negative your behaviors, the more negative your relationships will be. You will attract more negative people. You will attract people who see the world the way you see the world and who act the way you act. You're going to get people on the same emotional wavelengths. And if that emotional wavelength is everything sucks, everything's horrible, everyone's bad, only bad things happen, people are going to take advantage of that mindset. That's going to be negative emotional wavelengths that you attract to you. Because the positive ones aren't going to want to be around it because it feels like you're suffocating. Like is attracted to like. And if you're a family person, if you've got kids, if you're a parent, if you want to become a parent, you need to understand that your negative mindset will erode your family connections as well. And you can go back and listen to any of the episodes about my mother. You can go to Medium. You can go to TikTok. Watch when I talk about my mother. Read the stuff I've written about my mother. She was a draining black hole of a woman who had nothing but bad things to say about people. She complained, and she would sit and complain for hours, barely taking a breath. And do you think she had healthy relationships? No, she died home alone. The police had to break in a window in her house after she had been laying there dead for 24 hours, almost. No. You don't have healthy relationships. You don't get good outcomes when you walk around with this black hole sucking negative mindset about everything. You can absolutely acknowledge the negativity in this world without allowing yourself to drown in it. If you want healthy relationships at work, at home, you got to attract healthy people, and healthy people have healthy mindsets. It's a balance. Everything is balancing. The third big proof is in the pudding kind of evidence here that your mindset is kind of what stabilizes and creates your reality can be seen in our physical health. We've learned a lot about the human body and the human mind in the last decade, but specifically what has been shown time and time again is that the way you think, what you think, positivity and negativity, realistically, has a direct effect on your physical health. The way the systems in your body are able to maintain themselves and the longevity of the life that you're able to lead. If you don't believe me, there's a really interesting study that you can go and look at from 2002. I know that that's 20 years ago. That's part of what I want you to understand. There was a really great study that was done by researchers at Yale University. And it's called Longevity Increased by Positive Self-Perceptions of Aging. And it followed a group of middle-aged and older individuals. And it tracked their quality of thought and their longevity. And what they found is that the older individuals that had more positive outlooks, who chose to see the way they were aging and the experiences that come with that as a positive thing, or they chose to make positive moments out of what could otherwise be described as a negative experience, they lived on average 7.5 years longer than the people with the more negative thinking, with the negative self-perceptions, with these kind of negative ideas and fixations on getting older. And it's not just that. There's been other studies that have been focused on placebo effects, and they have shown that in people experiencing chronic pain, the act of positive thought actually had a direct effect on the improvement of brain functioning and pain processing. So people thought they were taking a pain pill, they were not taking a pain pill, but thinking that, oh, I have relief, I am better, they actually saw an improvement in the way the brain was able to process that pain and the emotional ties that that person felt to the pain. Your physical body responds to the quality of your thoughts. And this is not to say that you have to have this kind of delusional positive thinking to have a perfectly healthy body. Of course, that's not going to happen. All it is one more tool in the toolkit. It's one more edge that you can give yourself. It's like one more form of nourishment. Of course, your body still needs other forms of nourishment. It needs medical care. It may need medication and treatment. And, there's genetic predispositions and everything else to experience. However, you can give yourself a better advantage at better health, at a better quality of physical life when you choose to adopt a healthier, more balanced, positive way of thinking. We get it, right? We get it. Your mindset, direct role in the reality you create. So what does that mean? How does that play out in your life? If you are required to have this more positive outlook, but you can't slide over into delusion and toxic positivity, then what? What do? How do you set yourself up for physical and material success with a more positive, realistic mind? It's a little easier said than done. Everyone's got a different path to this, and some will have harder paths than others and more obstacles to doing this. But essentially, there are 3 things that you need to do if you want to shift your mindset, to shift your reality. Okay, I'm going to give you the secrets right now. I usually save this for my clients, but we're doing it. I need you guys not to be sliding into cycles of rumination. I need more positivity from everyone listening to this, because that's how we are going to change things. And this is how you're going to do it. These 3 things. Number 1, know the equation. There is a direct equation to creating a balanced, positive mindset. Okay. First, start with the idea that things don't happen to you. They happen for you. Okay. That's where you start this mindset. But that kind of thinking alone isn't enough. Here is the equation. You have to have a positive future vision plus realistic present processing to build realistic optimism. That's what we're aiming for. Realistic optimism. So you look to the future, you say, this is what I want. This is what the best outcome would be for me. This is what I need, and this is what I'm going to get. And then you take a step back and you look at your present circumstances. Okay. In your present circumstances, you always process it honestly, realistically, as it is. So that means if it's negativity, it's negativity. If you messed up, you messed up. If there's outside influences that are a part of that negative reality you're experiencing, you acknowledge those as well. But ultimately, as you hold space for that negative thing you're experiencing, you look to the future and you say, this is the good I'm going to get out of this. Number 2, you really do have to, I want to emphasize this, hold space for negative experiences inside of your positive focus, your positive thinking. We can't see everything as a positive, right? People being racist, people being sexist, people being hateful, hurting one another, traumatizing one another. Those aren't good things, but they are real things that exist, and they have to be considered. They have to be looked at for what they are. But we're not trying to erase reality, okay? Which is what a lot of the toxic positivity does. It wants you not to look at reality and to look at this delusion of perfection, which doesn't exist. Instead, what you do is you look at the bad thing and you say, I'm going to become determined to create a positive out of this. I'm going to find my way around this obstacle no matter what. I acknowledge how horrible this obstacle is and what it is, and I may have to work harder to get around it, but I will make something good for myself. That is realistic optimism. It asks you to create positivity while acknowledging the negativity at the same time. Last but not least, this is the third one, the third tenet of creating a more positive outcome for yourself. Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Knowledge is everything. Knowledge of the human mind, the human body. It will transform your life, the way you interact with yourself, and the emotional ties that you have to your experiences in this reality. When you have knowledge about how your brain and body system, the rest of your body systems works, you are empowered to make the healthiest possible decisions for yourself. And that is always the aim of this positive mindset, this better mindset and reality making for ourselves, creating more positive behaviors, creating more positive relationships. We have to choose the healthiest option. We have to look realistically at our surroundings, at the people that we're with, at what we know. is the most empathetic choice, and we make that choice. We stop relying just on our emotions, and we actually use these big giant brains, which have incredible power when we actually learn how to use them. If you can do those three things, if you can know that equation, if you can hold space for experience, if you can choose the healthiest option, if you can just do those three things and start making choices from those kind of three bases, then you can create a healthier mindset for yourself. Okay. You don't have to go through like decades of therapy and all this kind of stuff to do it. You just have to change the way you choose to see how you're going to overcome something or what you're going to get out of something. You have to learn how to make your suffering an opportunity. And that doesn't mean you have to write a book or get online and talk about it or anything like that. You just have to figure out, how can I benefit from this bad thing that's happened? Okay. And that's essentially what realistic optimism comes down to. You're not turning your eyes away from the cruelty of the world or the wounds of the world or the bad things that are happening to you or the like real consequences of your traumatized nervous system or the bad things that someone did to you. You're accepting it and you're choosing to create better for yourself through the mind-body action cycle. What do you think? What do you think? How has your mindset positively or negatively affected the outcome for you? The outcomes at work, the outcomes in your relationships, the choices that you've made for yourself along the way, leading up right here to this moment. It's really, really, really easy to point our finger at all the problems in the world and at the problems that people inflict in our lives, and those things are all valid. They all are true. People harm us, they traumatize us. The world's a brutal place and bad things happen randomly and for no reason. But we also inflict our own kind of hell on ourselves by the way we think, by the internal environment we create for ourselves, by choosing to limit our options because of the negative or the suffering that we're experiencing. Bad things happen to you. Yes, they happen to everybody. You're going to do bad things. Bad things are going to be done to you. But that doesn't mean that everything has to be bad, that everything has to turn out bad, that you have to create more bad. You can change that for yourself. You can choose to make better outcomes in certain arenas of your life, because the truth is, you do still control elements of your life. The majority of your life you control. That might be getting limited every day as we kind of drift towards this strange new world. But as of right now, you control so many of the elements of your life, and you can improve those things that you control. It just starts with the choices that you make and the thoughts and beliefs that you choose to live your life by. And that's it. That's what I want you to take away from today. That you can make it better, that you can find some kind of glimmer of light for yourself, a breath of fresh air somewhere. You can make that for yourself. Hard as it may be, you can do it. You can do it. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I really hope that you got something good out of this. I hope that you are inspired. I hope that you've walked away from this episode not feeling heavy, but feeling uplifted, feeling excited, feeling empowered, ready to take on the day and to make something happen for yourself and your family and your future. So thank you so much for listening. If you love the episode, don't forget to go and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really, really helps. It helps people find the podcast, and it helps me get this podcast out, and helps people find me and get this advice so that they don't fall down a toxic positivity rabbit hole. So thank you for listening. Thank you for reading me on medium.com, and thank you for following me on TikTok. There's almost 100,000 of you now, and it is cool. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Keep your heads up, keep your eyes on the stars, and most importantly, keep moving forward. Bye-bye.